Welcome back, detective. You found your quiet corner of the night, where the world slows and only the mysteries stay awake. Here, we trace quiet puzzles and forgotten clues. We listen to the echoes of unsolved cases, to the faint scratch of pens in old evidence rooms, and to the sigh of stories that never found their ending. This is Midnight Evidence, true crime for the insomniac soul. Calm stories of human mystery, told softly for those who wander between curiosity and sleep. Before we begin, tell me, where are you listening from tonight? Are you in bed, the city lights dimming outside your window? On a late night drive, headlights carving paths through fog? Or maybe just drifting between thoughts, half awake, half dreaming? Wherever you are, you're safe here. If these quiet cases bring you peace, tap the like button, subscribe, and stay with our small circle of night watchers. Now take a slow breath. Let the hum of the night settle around you. The next file waits. Its label reads, 1971, Northwest Orient Flight 305. A name written neatly in ink, D.B. Cooper, the man who vanished into the sky. It began quietly, as these things often do. November 24th, 1971, Portland, Oregon. A chill in the air, the faint scent of jet fuel and wet pavement. A man in a dark business suit stepped into the terminal. He was unremarkable, calm, polite, carrying a briefcase and a folded raincoat. He bought a one-way ticket to Seattle for $20, paid in cash, and gave the name Dan Cooper. Witnesses said he might have been in his 40s, maybe 50s, brown eyes, clean-shaven, the kind of face you could walk past 100 times and never recall. He took seat 18E near the rear of the cabin, ordered a bourbon and soda, and when the flight reached cruising altitude, he passed a note to a flight attendant. The note said he had a bomb, but there was no panic. He spoke softly, his tone steady, like someone explaining a business arrangement. He showed her the briefcase, a few red wires, a glimpse of cylinders, enough to make the threat real. Then he explained his demands, $200,000 in cash, 4 parachutes, and a fuel truck ready when they landed in Seattle. It was audacious, yes, but oddly composed. A crime without shouting, without violence. The passengers never knew what was happening. They sipped coffee, read magazines, and watched the rain beat against the windows while a quiet negotiation unfolded behind them. In Seattle, night had already fallen. The runway glistened beneath floodlights. The FBI delivered the money and parachutes. Cooper released the passengers, everyone unharmed, keeping only the crew. He asked for a refuel, gave careful instructions, and spoke to the pilots with almost professional calm. His plan was precise. He wanted to fly low, under 10,000 feet, and slow, around 200 miles per hour. He knew the model of aircraft could lower its rear staircase mid-flight. When the plane took off again, only 5 souls were aboard. 2 pilots, a flight engineer, a flight attendant, and the quiet man in seat 18E. Outside, rain swept across the Pacific Northwest. Inside, Cooper counted the money, checked the parachutes, and waited. What followed was one of the largest manhunts in American history. Helicopters combed the forests of southwest Washington. Agents hiked through mud and pine and endless rain. They mapped flight paths, tested wind speeds, even dropped dummies from planes to simulate the fall. And yet, no trace, no body, no parachute, nothing. For years, investigators sifted rumors and false leads. Dozens of men were questioned. Some confessed, some lied for fame, some simply wanted to believe they could be him. Then, in 1980, a young boy digging near the Columbia River found a bundle of decayed $20 bills, nearly 6,000 of them, their serial numbers matching the ransom money. It was the first real clue in nearly a decade, but it answered nothing. If Cooper landed safely, why bury the money? If he died in the fall, where was everything else? Each answer dissolved into new questions, like mist above the water. Over time, the story drifted into legend. Some say Cooper didn't survive the jump, that the wind tore his parachute apart, and the forest kept its secret. Others believe he was a skilled paratrooper, someone who knew the terrain, planned a drop zone, and slipped quietly into another life. There are those who claim he was a rogue airline worker, a pilot himself, someone who understood flight manuals and pressure systems intimately. A few even imagine he became something mythic, a ghost thief, a symbol of freedom and defiance, the man who outwitted gravity itself. Maybe he hid in a small town under another name, the ransom money traded slowly, carefully, over years. Or maybe he watched his own story unfold on television, smiling faintly from some dim motel room, knowing that mystery had become his disguise. We'll never really know. And perhaps that's the beauty of it. Every mystery holds a quiet mercy. When no ending is written, we can dream 100 gentler ones. Tonight, as you lie there listening, picture the clouds outside that Boeing 727. A vast ocean of gray, rain streaking across the windows, the hum of engines steady as a heartbeat. Somewhere behind the roar of wind and rain, a single figure stands at the open stairs, the air cold and alive against his face, money strapped to his chest, the world a blur below. He takes one breath, then another, and steps forward into darkness. Maybe he fell, maybe he flew, maybe he became part of the night itself. So breathe, let the investigation fade. The case remains open, filed neatly between fact and folklore. Outside your window, the same sky stretches wide and unknowable, the same stars he might have seen just before the clouds close behind him. Let them watch over you now. Let mystery do what it does best, hold you gently without needing to be solved. Sleep well, detective. The night is quiet. The case will keep until morning. December 1st, 1948, Somerton Beach, Adelaide. The morning is pale and calm. The tide creeps low across the sand, and a man lies neatly dressed against the seawall, as though he has simply paused to rest after a long walk. His shoes are polished, his cuffs are clean. There is no sign of struggle, no hint of a hurried end, only stillness. A half-smoked cigarette rests beside him, perfectly balanced on the lapel of his coat. It's the smallest of details, too small to belong to chance. When police arrive, they search his pockets. A train ticket, a bus stub, a comb, a pack of juicy fruit gum, a used matchbook, but no wallet, no keys, and every clothing label meticulously cut away. He does not fit. Not the sea, not the city, not the map of anyone's memory. Days later, the mystery grows. A suitcase appears in a railway locker downtown, its tag removed. Inside, an orange thread not sold in Australia, a stencil brush used for cargo markings, and a pair of trousers with a secret pocket sewn deep inside the waistband. In that pocket, nothing, only the impression of something once hidden there. Weeks pass. The morgue grows colder. Detectives fingerprint him, study his hands. Clean nails, soft palms, yet the calf muscles of a dancer or a runner. A man who moved often, but handled nothing heavy. Someone notices the faint remnants of dental work uncommon in the region, European perhaps. His ears curve oddly, no record matches. It's as if he's been edited out of existence. Then, a small discovery. A hidden fob pocket in his waistband holds a scrap of paper, neatly rolled, bearing only 2 words in Persian. Tamam shud. It is finished. The scrap is traced back to a rare edition of the Rubaiyat of Omar Khayyam, found in a car parked nearby. Its last page torn out. Inside, in pencil, a code, 5 lines of random letters. Vergo ababd, li ayawi wat bimpanetb, mliawi itm samst gab. No cipher key fits, no pattern endures. It hums like an unfinished song. A woman's name in the front of the book leads detectives to a nurse, a young mother living nearby. Shown the man's cast, she turns pale, says she cannot say how she knows him, only that she once owned such a book. When she asks for privacy, they give it. The record of that conversation is quietly sealed. Sometimes the quietest mysteries are the ones that feel almost polite. The Somerton Man seems less lost than prepared. Everything unnecessary cut away, everything personal removed, an ending tidied up like a hotel room before departure. Perhaps he was a traveler, a courier of small, unspoken messages in the hush of early Cold War shadows. Perhaps he was a lover meeting someone for the last time, the note in his pocket a fragment of poetry he meant to give but never did. Or maybe he was only a man who wished for his story to dissolve, to finish cleanly with no explanation left behind. Even now, decades later, new DNA traces whisper that he may have been from the East Coast with a family who never knew where he'd gone. But mystery resists completion. Every new clue creates another corridor of questions. Imagine the beach at night, stars smeared on the dark water, waves counting time for no one. Somewhere beneath that sand, a few grains still hold the outline of where he lay. And maybe that is enough. November 29th, 1970. Bergen, Norway. The sky is iron gray, the air sharp with frost and wood smoke. A father and his 2 daughters are hiking in the foothills of Mount Ulriken, through an area locals call Isdalen, the ice valley. The children notice something odd, a scent of burnt metal and a scatter of belongings half buried in the moss. When their father looks closer, he finds what appears to be the remnants of a campfire, and within it, something human. She is lying on her back, arms folded in a strange, deliberate pose. The fire has done its work, but not enough to erase the mystery. Near her, a half-melted water bottle, a spoon, 2 empty bottles once holding liqueur, a broken umbrella, a watch, a few pieces of jewelry arranged neatly beside her, as if placed there by hand, every label cut from the clothing, every identifying mark removed, even her fingerprints, partly destroyed by heat. In a train station locker, police find 2 suitcases tied to her travels. Inside, a prescription for eczema under a false name, several wigs, multiple pairs of stylish shoes, and coded notes mapping a trail of hotels across Norway and Europe. Each note corresponds to a date and a city. Each alias seems drawn from a different language. Witnesses remember her as striking, dark-haired, reserved. Sometimes she called herself a photographer, sometimes an antiques dealer, always polite, always alone. No one ever saw her meet anyone, but she was being followed, or thought she was. Hotel clerks recall her asking whether her movements were being watched, her voice soft but urgent. And then, sometime in late November, she vanished, until the smoke led those hikers to her resting place. The Isdal Woman's story reads like a dream unraveling, so many clues, and not one explanation that fits cleanly. If she was a spy, why such visible luxury? Wigs and perfume and bright dresses that drew attention. If she wished to disappear, why the coded notes, as though leaving a trail for someone to follow? Perhaps she was both. Someone living between identities, balancing truth and invention until the two became the same. There's a tenderness to her mystery, in the careful folding of her hands, the arranged jewelry, the decision to burn, not in rage but in ritual. It feels less like flight and more like final authorship, a woman editing the last line of her own story. Investigators still revisit her case. DNA links hint she may have come from southern Europe, Italy, France, perhaps beyond. But no family, no friend, has ever stepped forward to claim her. Sometimes the most merciful ending is that the unknown remains hers to keep, 3 stories, 3 vanishings. The man in the storm, the man by the sea, the woman in the fog, all still open, all still breathing somewhere in the dark folds of history. Listen, you can almost hear them overlap. The roar of the aircraft, the hush of the tide, the whispering wind of Isdalen. A chord of unanswered questions that hums beneath the noise of sleep. Maybe Cooper lived, maybe he didn't. Maybe the Somerton Man had someone waiting at a cafe who never looked up again. Maybe the Isdal Woman watched the last light on the valley and finally felt free. What joins them isn't tragedy, it's the grace of mystery, the reminder that not every story belongs to the living to explain. So let the files rest. Let the clocks in the evidence room tick quietly to themselves. Let the night reclaim what it keeps best, silence and peace. Take one slow breath, then another. Feel the weight of your body sink into the bed, the rhythm of your heart steady and soft. If your eyes are heavy, close them now. If your thoughts are still circling, let them drift upward, like Cooper through the clouds, like paper scraps across the surf, like smoke through the valley air. You've been listening to Midnight Evidence, where every mystery is a lullaby in disguise. Sleep well, detective. The case will keep until morning.